Welcome back to Pop Blast, your number one source for the hottest moments in Hollywood. Explosive interviews and celebrity showdowns that shake the entertainment world. If you're into the drama behind the cameras and the tension that boils over live on air, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because what we're about to dive into is absolutely jaw-dropping. Imagine tuning into a quiet morning with a fresh cup of coffee, just expecting another calm episode of Good Morning America. But instead, what viewers got was a fiery, no-holds-barred verbal brawl between legendary actor Danny DeVito and longtime host George Stephanopoulos. What was supposed to be a lighthearted promotional interview turned into one of the most shocking moments in morning show history. From playful jabs to full-blown shouting, and eventually Danny DeVito storming off the set. Today, we unravel exactly what went down on that unforgettable morning. So what sparked this chaos? It all began with what should have been a routine guest. What appearance Danny DeVito, beloved for his roles in everything from Taxi to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, was scheduled to appear on GMA to promote his new indie comedy project. A fan favorite with a reputation for being outspoken but charming. No one expected the 79-year-old actor to erupt on live television. But as with all dramatic Hollywood moments, it started with something small, almost invisible at first. Interview began smoothly. George Stephanopoulos welcomed Danny onto the set, offering the usual warm introduction. Danny, dressed in his iconic all-black outfit with his signature round glasses, looked relaxed as he cracked a few jokes about waking up early and surviving on espresso. The live audience chuckled, and things seemed fine for about 5 minutes. Everything flowed normally. Then came the shift. George brought up a recent interview where Danny made some controversial remarks about the current state of Hollywood and what he called the corporate chokehold on creativity. Danny had commented that major studios were turning everything into soulless franchises and rebooting ideas that never needed reviving. It was nothing new from him, but George pressed the issue. Do you think you're being a bit too cynical about the industry that made you famous? George asked with a slight smirk. Danny paused. His smile dropped, just a little cynical. He echoed, leaning forward. I call it being honest. George kept pushing. But isn't that biting the hand that feeds you? That was the moment everything changed. Danny's tone hardened. No, George. It's calling out the reality. You got billion-dollar studios exploiting every creative bone in the body of this business and tossing originality in the trash. I'm not biting the hand that feeds me. I'm biting the machine that's feeding off people's imagination and spitting out garbage. There was an awkward silence. You could feel the energy in the studio start to shift. George tried to lighten the mood, chuckled nervously, and replied, Well, I guess you've never been one to sugarcoat it. But Danny wasn't done. Know what the real problem is? Danny said, raising his voice slightly. Guys like you sitting here every morning playing PR for the same system that's rotting the art form. Gasps could be heard from behind the cameras. George tried to cut in. Danny, that's not fair. No, what's not fair? Danny interrupted. Is acting like we're just having friendly morning banter when you're twisting my words and trying to make me look like a bitter old man. At this point, George visibly tensed. I'm just doing my job, Danny. We ask questions. We challenge ideas. That's what journalists do. Journalist. Danny scoffed now, fully turned toward George. You're not a journalist, George. You're a polished puppet with a nice tide. You're paid to keep things clean and pretty, even when the truth's ugly. And right now, I'm telling the ugly truth about an industry that's lost its soul. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. George was no longer smiling. Producers in the control room were panicking. The live broadcast was still rolling, and millions of viewers were glued to their screens as Danny DeVito let it all out. You invited me here to talk about a film, Danny continued. Instead, you're trying to trap me in a soundbite. You want to make me a headline? Well, here's your headline, George. Danny DeVito's had enough of the plastic smiles, the fake questions, and the sanitized version of reality this show feeds people every damn morning. George, clearly flustered, responded, Danny, I think you're being unnecessarily combative. Oh, I'm just getting started. Danny snapped back. You think people watch this show for honesty? No, they watch it for distraction. And I get it. Distraction is easy, but I didn't come here to distract. I came here to wake people up. A stunned silence took over the studio. Co-host Robin Roberts looked like she was holding her breath. The cameraman froze. The audience didn't dare make a sound. Then, in a shocking move that no one expected, Danny stood up. "I'm done," he said. "If you want to keep pretending this is journalism, go ahead. I won't be part of this charade." With that, Danny DeVito pulled off his mic, threw it on the chair, and stormed off the set of On Air, leaving everyone speechless. The broadcast quickly cut to a commercial break, but the damage was already done. Within minutes, clips of the moment exploded across social media. Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram lit up with hashtags like hashtag DannyGeorge, hashtag DannyVsGeorge, hashtag DevStormsOff, and hashtag GMA Clash. Opinions were divided. Some praised Danny for speaking truth to power and refusing to play the Hollywood PR game. Others criticized him for being disrespectful and unprofessional. Backstage, sources claimed that after the cameras stopped rolling, there was even more tension behind the scenes. Danny reportedly refused to return for a follow-up segment and left the building immediately. George, meanwhile, was seen having a heated conversation with producers, likely about how things spiraled so quickly. Publicists on both sides went into overdrive. Statements began rolling in. Danny's team released a short message saying, "Danny speaks passionately and stands by his words. He believes in the importance of artistic integrity and was disappointed by the direction of the interview." George Stephanopoulos didn't issue a personal statement, but ABC issued a diplomatic response stating, "Live television often includes unscripted moments. We respect all our guests and appreciate their voices, but the public wasn't ready to move on just yet." 4 days after the incident, debate raged online. Clips of the interview racked up millions of views. Commentators on YouTube and podcasts weighed in. Some called it the most honest moment on morning television in years. Others thought Danny overreacted. Celebrities even chimed in. Michael Keaton tweeted, "Danny's always been one of the real ones." On the other hand, a few Hollywood insiders hinted that Danny may have hurt his chances of getting future press coverage or major studio support. Industry insiders were split. Some insiders said this moment would cement DeVito's status as a rebel voice in Hollywood, someone who refuses to play by the rules. Others said it might be the beginning of his exile from mainstream media platforms. But if there's one thing everyone agreed on, it's that this was a moment people won't forget anytime soon. Danny DeVito has always been a larger-than-life personality. Despite his small stature, whether playing Frank Reynolds in It's Always Sunny or directing cult classics like Matilda, he's never shied away from being bold, brash, and brutally honest. This GMA incident might just be another example of that raw authenticity many people crave in a world that often feels manufactured and fake. As the buzz continues to grow, people are already speculating what Danny will do next. Will he address the incident in a public statement? Will he appear on a podcast? Or do a sit-down interview to share his side without interruptions? Or will he choose to let the moment speak for itself, standing as a symbol of one man's refusal to be silenced? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. Danny DeVito just reminded the world that sometimes even the most lighthearted morning shows can become battleground for something much bigger than ratings or PR-friendly interviews. Sometimes they become platforms for raw, uncomfortable truth. And that, dear viewers, is the story of how Danny DeVito went from guest to headline in a matter of minutes, leaving behind a trail of questions, debates, and one of the most unforgettable live television moments of the decade. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more celebrity showdowns, behind-the-scenes drama, and real talk from Hollywood's biggest names, be sure to like this video, drop a comment below, and subscribe to Pop Blast. We'll be back with more stories that pull back the curtain and reveal what's really happening in the world of entertainment. Thanks for watching, and remember, Hollywood may write the script, but we bring you the truth.